So at Freedom, we've been solving one of the most stubborn problems when it comes to education, that of foundational literacy. Uh, and trying to do this for the last decade or so. I'm Nikhil Saraf from India and working with my team out here at Stanford, led by Professor Susan Athey, in helping solving this problem. And by the end of this presentation, I hope we are able to change the economics of literacy a bit. So all of us are aware of the problem, but just let's go back to the classroom. Imagine a child inside a classroom. He's doing everything right, following the teacher, attending classes, and yet he or she is unable to read by the time they are age 9 or grade 3, right? The school's not broken, the teacher is not failing, the child is not lazy. And yet you have 90% kids who can't read text at grade level, 70% kids who can't even read a simple sentence in India. That's a staggering 250 million children out there, and less than 2% of education spending being spent to solve this in real time. How do we suppose we can tackle this problem? And over the last decade or so, I would say it's not even a learning gap. It's more like a learning chasm and more like a learning emergency that needs to be solved for right away. What did we do? We spent time building a solution that not only helps diagnose, personalize, motivate, but has also helped the child practice back at home and is available on every platform, every device is device agnostic. That's available out there. How do we do this? We do this. We've done this in over 1 million, with 1 million kids globally, with around 10,000 schools with 16 minutes of engagement and about 70% answer accuracy that we see that. Now, what I'm going to take you through is the 4 layers of personalization that we go through in being able to achieve this. The first layer is the diagnosis layer. We help a child figure out what are their comprehension, vocabulary, oral reading fluency, listening, and writing skills are. Now, the interesting thing out here is all of this is fairly straightforward, but when it comes to oral reading fluency, we are able to look at the diction and pronunciation in even the most remote areas within the country like India and use the current AI models to be able to do that. But my most favorite is the personalization track, where we worked with the Stanford team out here to create a collaborative filtering algo, the first for children in the world, and put it on top of about 100K units of content that were there on the app, which is skill-specific, multimodal, and age-appropriate for kids in order to serve the kid right where they are, at the level that they are, in the moment when they need it. And what did that result in? We ran an RCT, which helped tell us that about 60% extra story engagement when the content is personalized to the child at the reading level they're supposed to be reading at. They were able to complete 78% more stories, and we saw 14% boost in app engagement when that happened. Now, personalization is fun. Personalization is nice, but this was all built on 100K units of curated content over time that we put together. Why I'm saying curated, we'll know later within the presentation when I come to it. The third layer, and this is an interesting one, is how do we build habit into it? After you've done personalization, how can you actually build on students coming on the app again and again? We ran a small study, this is during the pandemic, for about 7,750 students, ages 3 and 12, where we were able to see that nudges and reading challenges sent to students with incentives at the right time were able to not only boost reading engagement, but also not helping them drop off, and they were consuming more difficult stories than the other students compared to them. I think that was a very interesting data point, that the habit or the habituality of coming on the app were these students were able to consume content that other students were not even looking at and beyond their age group. Today, we have a feature called streaks. Everyone's aware of it, seen in apps like Duolingo. The highest streak on the app is 2336 days. That's 6.5 years of a child coming on the app every day without missing a single day and doing their reading practice. So the impact so far in these 3 layers is we've seen about 2x gains in a single year. In a controlled trial, we saw us beating Duolingo within the same environment by 3x learning outcomes, and about 97% increase in oral fluency and 60% in comprehension gains. So what now? And we got stuck out here, right? This is where the real fun began. We said, now that we're stuck out here, what next? And that's where content personalization came in. So we reached out here without any content per se being personalized. Stories are publisher controlled, they're expensive to produce. Licensing content is not a solvable or a scalable solution. And how do you create culturally relevant, fast localized content that's skill specific? Imagine a child in Brazil, Puya, who wants a content for grade 2, who is teaching a sound in the sub-blend in phonics, and a teacher needs that right away. Such content does not exist, isn't available at this point in time. And hence, we created a generative AI story layer on the app. This is a project that's underway right now, for which I'm here at this point in time, to create low-cost, grade-appropriate stories that are scalable in multilingual classrooms across the globe with a safety-first design and are culturally responsive so that they can take care of the environment that the child is in right now. What does this help? It helps us lower the cost of production of stories. It helps us adapt it to countries where English is a second language, yet an aspirational language. It helps us create safe AI and take it inside the classroom. And from a classroom perspective, also be able to match it to learning outcomes and literacy gains that a child is able to see. We are able to reach about 5K learners with this closed pilot, with 3x faster localization for a story and 80% reduction in content creation cost for the same story. If you just expand it a bit, you end up taking it to multilingualism after the pilot is achieved, and even in constrained environments where we don't exist at this point in time. That's the team. That's me, Professor Susan from here, Kavish and Anti. And that's me. That's my time. Thank you.